How are you doing today? I'm going to give everybody a minute to hop on over, tag a friend, tell your bestie, be like, hey, we are going to be talking about SHRM exams. So anybody in your study group, anybody that you are interacting with who is also working towards our SHRM or HRCI certification, listen up. They need to be here. So today we are going to be talking about the SHRM exam, what to expect, because the window is here. The time is here. The testing window is open or opening, depending upon when you're listening to or watching this live stream, is happening, people. It's happening. And this is when all the questions come through. What do I need to know about the exam? Okay. What do I need to know about the exam that maybe isn't covered in the learning system or the review materials that I've had? So I'm going to say, here's what you need to know before your exam day, because we are here. First of all, I would encourage you that if you are taking the test, whether it's tomorrow or in 2 weeks, 48 hours before you take the exam, you just need to rest, decompress, take some time for you. Take some time for you, get a good night's sleep, drink plenty of water, eat some good food, get your body ready, because you have a 2-hour exam that maybe you have been working towards or studying for a period of time, several months. So I just want to be clear and say that the most important thing when you have really 24 to 48 hours to 72 hours before the exam is to take time for you. Take time for you. That might mean getting some sleep, pulling yourself away from your study notes, because really, when you are 24 hours or 48 hours away, there's not much more that you can do. The best thing that you can do is be mentally and physically and emotionally prepared with getting water, sleep, eating good foods, and breathing, So I want to talk a little bit about the exam itself, okay? Because I think that we're so focused on studying for the exam and taking this exam and preparing for the exam that we forget about the logistics of the exam. First of all, there are remote and in-person exam options. If you are taking the remote exam, you are going to have to do some things. So let's talk about that first. First of all, even this paper in the back of my office here is not going to be acceptable, okay? You are going to have a place free of distraction. So let me show you over here. Oh, let's see, will it show? I have Post-it notes all over my walls because that's how my brain works. You have to take these things down. Anything with words or might look as notes have to be removed. So a quote picture on a wall, removed. You can only be working from your computer. I have a computer in front of me. I have a monitor over to the side. I can't have dual monitors when I'm taking the exam. You'll have to remove the monitor, put it in your closet. You need to have a door and a space that's closed off. And if you can, I would encourage you to be cabled into the internet so that if the Wi-Fi goes down, you'll still be connected. SHRM has a new thing that if you miss the exam under your own accord, you have to pay a fee. I think it's $66. This started in May. So what I would encourage you to do if you're taking your exam remote is at least 24, if not 48 hours before, you need to do your testing. And I would encourage you to have a backup computer that is also ready. Sometimes I say go to your office, your work office, your physical office, and go to a quiet place and have 2 computers available so that if the first one doesn't work, you can move over to the second and it's not so jolting or shocking. So let's prepare for the exam. You cannot have headphones in. The proctor has to be able to hear and speak to you. If you are taking the exam in the next couple days, it's too late to put in an accommodation request unless you want to reschedule your exam, okay? If you want to wear headphones for like noise canceling or something like that, or stand during your exam, you can do those things, but you have to follow the instructions that SHRM has to set up the accommodation requests, okay? So I would encourage you, if you're like, oh no, I need to do that, I have ADHD, that is fine. Reschedule your exam, put in the accommodation request. Test everything out beforehand so that you are prepared. No dual monitors, one computer that you'll work from, and have a backup computer. Have that available so that you are ready. Test all these things out in advance. For those of you who are going to the testing center for SHRM, just get the address. If you want to map it out, so you have a plan, prepare for traffic, head on that direction. I like to arrive like 30 minutes early so that I can sit in my car a few minutes and just relax and breathe. Get myself into the right mindset before I go in. You will have a locker that you're going to put all your personal belongings in there. So just be prepared. And then you'll go into cubicle land where you'll take the exam. Okay, so that's remote proctoring versus in-person testing. Things that you need to know. They will allow you bathroom breaks. They will allow you to go back to your locker in person if you need to have a snack or drink some water. You can do those things. Remote, you can do those things too, but your timer doesn't stop for either. You'll get up, you'll leave, you'll come back. They're going to have to recircle the room. The normal time that they allow for this is in between the first section and the second section of the exam. Your timer doesn't stop. And for remote, the proctor is going to have to see the whole view of the room. So you'll have to move your computer all the way around, okay? So they can see everything to make sure that there's not another person or new crib sheets or notes that have suddenly appeared. Be prepared for those things. So let's talk about exam logistics, whether you are in person or remote. Here's what you need to know. Multiple choice options. I have a whole other series of videos where we just talk about my 5 test question answering framework. You can take a look at some older videos or send me a note. I'll send you a message with those things. But it's multiple choice. There's only one correct answer. Only one correct answer. There's no extra points or half points for answer B when the answer was A. That's not how it works. SHRM does something called weighted scoring, okay? Only one correct answer. You aren't going to know how many points you're going to receive for each question. It's a formula, they pop it in. You either pass or you don't. You don't get a certain percentage of questions right to get a B, and that means you pass, as in a grade. Or you want to get yourself a C because that means you pass. That's not how it works. And because in our mind, like when I took, like, for example, spelling as a kid, right? I knew I wanted to get at least an 80%. So if I had 10 spelling words, I needed to get 8 correct. Weighted scoring doesn't work that way. This is why you have to read each question slowly, look at the possible answers, and select the best one, every single one, because we don't know which ones are actually scored, which ones are practice test questions that are being unscored, because there's those on the exam too, and which ones might be worth more points. So you want to answer every single question, read the question, and know that there isn't a certain number of questions that you get right to pass the exam. A 200 for SHRM passes the exam. Anything else is not a pass. Okay, you have 4 hours for the SHRM exam. It is divided up into 2 sections. Section 1 is 2 hours. Section 2 is 2 hours. When you complete section 1, you're going to submit. You cannot go back to section 1 after you submit. You can stop and take a break, go to the bathroom, do your things. The proctor will reevaluate the room if you're remote. Then you start on section 2. If you accidentally submit section 1 or section 2 when you're not finished, you will pay the fee to retake the exam. And this is new. I believe it's $66. So don't hit the submit button unless you're finished. We'll see it this exam window. It's going to happen. Somebody is going to be in a Facebook group and they're going to say, I accidentally submitted it when I only had 7 questions done in section 1. I tried to talk to the proctor. What do I do? Don't submit anything unless you're ready. Answer every question. Go back and review. Go to section 2, you follow the same model. You can't go back to section 1 after you've hit that submit button. When you hit the submit button for section 2, the exam is done. You can't go back. Section 1 is 2 hours. Section 2 is 2 hours. If between section 1 and section 2, you decide you want to take a break, the meter is still running. Time is still happening. So if you take a 15-minute break, you are not going to have 2 hours to take the second part of the exam. You're going to have 1 hour and 45 minutes, okay? The proctor will be engaging and talking to you if you're remote. In person, they're going to be in or looking through a window at you. You have to be quiet. You can't be reading out loud. This is in person or remote. No out loud reading. It is a quiet time. So you will have to read the questions silently to yourself and evaluate options there. After you complete the exam, you are going to have an 8-minute survey. It's going to ask you about your experience. What was it like? These are the most agonizing 8 minutes of my life because you don't yet know if you passed the exam. And how you answer the survey questions don't impact your exam score, okay? But you have a survey that you're going to have to complete. Now, when you take the exam, I said there's 158 questions. There's actually extra ones that are in there, and these are non-test scoring questions. There's 24 of these. You aren't going to know what these are. These non-scoring test questions are just included in the exam. They aren't going to say like, hey, here's the practice test question. It's not being scored. No, you're not going to know. So you follow the framework. You're going to have to make time for those questions, meaning that each section is going to probably have, I would assume, 12 non-scoring questions. Section 1 will have 12 non-scoring questions. Section 2 will have another 12, but you're not going to know which ones those are. So you're going to answer every question to the best of your ability. They like to test new questions out, like to see how you're going to answer, but they don't tell you that this is a non-scoring test question. So you take a deep breath, you read the question, you look at the options, you select the best answer for every single one. So for this exam window, the window is open between November 15th and February 15th of 2024. If you were taking material, if you're taking the exam in February, it's the same exam as in November. Some people get caught up and they're like, oh no, this is the 2024. It's a new body of knowledge. No, SHRM does not change anything until the next testing window, which is the May testing window, the May through July testing window. We'll have new information that's going to come out, which changes in December, January timeframe. So like in the middle of things, you are being tested on the 2023 material in the body of applied skills and knowledge for your SHRM exams, okay? If you don't feel comfortable or confident with the exam right now, you can reschedule the exam. You can reschedule it for later in the testing window. That is an option. Sometimes that might be what you need, but know that this is a strategy that a lot of people employ. A lot of people are like, oh, I want to get this over with before the Thanksgiving holiday or for the Christmas, blah, blah, blah. They get there a couple weeks before. We're like, oh no, I'm not ready. Life happened. I need to reschedule. Those dates in February at the end of the testing window fill up fast. And if you want to reschedule, they don't come open all the time. So it's kind of like during the pandemic when I was trying to order on Instacart, I had to get up in the morning at midnight when the window opened and then put in my order. It will change throughout the day. So if you want to change your exam, you're going to have to go in and look at different options and then reschedule or rebook. And you can do that within the SHRM testing platform. Okay. you are going to have up to 40% of your test questions be situational judgment test questions. I just want to prepare you. And if you are not yet prepared for situational judgment test questions and you have time, I would encourage you to take a look at our HR Practice Test product. It's hrpracticetest.com. We have test questions that are organized by topic, 50 questions in a test, and also include situational judgment test questions. I have over 1,100 test questions, and I will tell you that SHRM, I had a call with them not too long ago, they actually assumed that I had been a test question writer. Somebody had bought my product from SHRM, went through our test questions, and then called me to say, hey, we went through your test questions. Cool. They had some questions about my questions. And then the guy said to me, you've been a SHRM test question writer, right? And I said, no, I've worked in HR for over 20 years. They are solid test questions. Not all test questions are created equal. So if you have at least a week before the exam, I would encourage you to focus on test questions as much as possible, if not longer than a week. Ideally, 2 to 3 weeks is when you should really be focusing on test questions, including those situational judgment test questions, because those account for up to 40% of your SHRM-CP and your SHRM-SCP exams. These are the scenarios that are like a paragraph where it's like, you are a VP of HR working for a manufacturing plant in Minnesota. Your CEO was newly appointed by the board of directors, and he wants to come in and do all these things. Employees are experiencing some resistance. What is the first stage? Like, what's the next thing that you're going to do after the CEO is newly appointed, right? Then you'll have your options. Then that scenario continues with a new question. Then we'll move into the third question potentially. There are between 3 and 5 situational judgment test questions included in each scenario. Again, you're not going to know if you got it right or wrong. You need to be prepared for 40% of your test questions potentially being situational judgment test questions. These are tricky because they're not obvious. So if you have been using practice test questions where the answer is obvious, not thinking around corners, you are really going to have to think through. This is why I would encourage you to find a product, whether it's ours or someone else's, that has situational judgment test questions so you can practice. If you don't have access to the learning system, head on over to hrpracticetest.com and grab our resource. You can grab it, gives you access to test questions, including situational judgment test questions and the knowledge-based test questions. These are, again, organized by category, which I think is super important, as well as just a broad overview. Some questions that are random, they just pop up. You might have employment law questions, training and development, blah, blah, blah. There's a whole host of them. But we have over 1,100 test questions in HR Practice Test for you. If you are a member of our ACE the HR exam membership, our subscription learning program and platform, you have access to the HR practice test already. It's available to you. But for those of you who are like, crunch time, it's happening, I use something else, it's not giving me all the things that I need more test questions, I have a standalone product that's available. You get access for 12 months. We have SHRM test questions. We have HRCI test questions. They're different. The SHRM ones include the categories and competencies for you and include those situational judgment test questions. I do have another video, and I'll try to restream it out here maybe tomorrow. It's an interview with the head of HR certification for SHRM, and we speak specifically on remote proctoring because during the pandemic, it was the first time both HRCI and SHRM hadn't really done remote proctoring yet. So there were lots of questions around how that was going to work and what was going to work. The key is that if you're remote, read the materials beforehand. Test with your tech 24 to 48 hours and have 2 different options available. Take your time, get rest, drink water, sleep, get all those things so that when you are dealing with the stress and anxiety that might come with you taking the exam, it's natural to have these things, that you have prepared and are organized and feel physically and emotionally together so that you can work through all the steps of the exam. Because what I don't want to happen is for you to accidentally hit the next button that you're finishing section 1 when you've only finished 4 questions in that test. I don't want you to have to do that. So I'm telling you all this now to prepare you for these things. These are things that you need to know when it comes to the SHRM exams, remote or in person. If you have questions or want to know more, leave a comment here below. I'll take a look and respond. I do have an HR certification prep product for those of you who maybe aren't taking this in the testing window now, or maybe you're taking it in February and need some extra review. The place to go is acethehrexam.com. That includes our HR practice test questions. That includes 140 lessons of video, audio to help you ace your HR certification exam. It includes a pre-study assessment, 70 questions. It's going to help you identify areas of opportunity for you so that you can select the topics that you want to review. We don't review things in order. Everybody is not the same. You pick the terms and concepts and the categories that are most important for you to pass the exam, that they're your weak spots that are most likely on the exam that we want to turn into strong spots for you. We want to turn these into strengths. Included in our ACE the HR exam course is also digital flashcards, downloadable flashcards. I have a whole host of downloadable resources and more for you. The monthly price is $49 a month. You head over to acethehrexam.com and sign up. Please know that if you sign up after January 1, the price is changing to $89. So go in, lock in your $49 a month subscription now so that you don't freak out on January 3rd. You send me a note. I'm telling you now, the price is increasing. We have added new digital worksheets, a whole host of really amazing resources for you to make it easy for you to slide in this resource on top of what do you already have existing? What are you already working on right now or utilizing? I allow this to be customized. It's not cookie cutter. It's not the standard review that you're going to get from other places. This is uniquely customized to you. And that's called acethehrexam.com. The test question product is available to you as a standalone option. It's a test question bank organized by competency and category, includes those situational judgment test questions. There's 1,100 test questions for SHRM folks. We also have an HRCI option that you can grab too. Different questions, different categories, but it is available for you for $75 for 12 months access. You can use that as much as you want, available to you at that price. And that is hrpracticetest.com. So those are two options that I would encourage you to take advantage of in the final days leading up to your exam. Honestly, I would love you not to cram as much as possible, but the test questions are really key 2 to 3 weeks before the exam. If you have questions or need support, let me know. SHRM exams, whether remote or proctored, can be challenging, but with the right mindset and preparation, I know that you can ace your HR certification exam. My name's Jess. I am an HR certification coach. I help HR leaders ace their HR certification exam. Our program, Ace the HR Exam, when you're in it for at least 90 days, we have a 95% pass rate. Students can come in. We get a lot of return test takers, people who maybe didn't get that 200 the first or the second or even the third time. They come through our program and it leads to a positive result, a pass for you. If you need help or support, you know where to go. Thank you for tuning in today. I will see you soon. I wish you all the confidence and luck and just everything that you want out of this testing window period. The exam season is now here for SHRM. It's a wild and crazy ride. If you need support or help, I'm here for you. Let me know. My name's Jess, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.